Something is about to change in your life, and maybe you don't fully understand it yet. Maybe you can't explain it clearly, but you feel it. That quiet feeling inside you, that sense that something is shifting, not loudly, not obviously, but deeply. And sometimes those are the most important moments, because before anything changes around you, something always changes within you first. And right now, you are in that moment. Maybe things have felt slow lately. Maybe you've been trying to move forward, but nothing seems to respond the way you expected. You put in effort, you stay consistent, you try to do the right things, and still the results feel delayed. And that can be frustrating. It can make you question everything. Your decisions, your path, even yourself. You start wondering if you're doing something wrong, if you miss something, if you're not moving fast enough. And slowly, that creates pressure. A quiet pressure that stays in the background of your mind. Always there, even when you try to ignore it. And over time, that pressure turns into doubt. Doubt in your direction, doubt in your progress, doubt in your future. But what if this moment is not a sign that you're failing, but a sign that something is preparing? Because not every delay is a denial. Not every silence means nothing is happening. Sometimes the most important work is happening where you cannot see it yet. And that is the hardest part. Trusting what you cannot see. Continuing when you don't have clear evidence. Staying steady when everything feels uncertain. But listen carefully, this moment right now is not here to confuse you. It's here to reset you. Because when your mind is full of pressure, you cannot see clearly. When your thoughts are crowded, you cannot feel direction. And when you're constantly thinking about results, you lose connection with the process. But right now, you are pausing. You are stepping out of that constant loop, even if just for a moment. And that moment is powerful, because in that pause, clarity begins to enter. Not all at once, not in a dramatic way, but slowly, quietly, in a way that you can actually absorb. And right now, I want you to take a deep breath. Slowly, don't rush it, because your mind needs to slow down to receive what is coming. And as you breathe, something begins to change. The tension softens, the noise lowers, the thoughts become less aggressive. And in that space, awareness begins. You start to see things differently. You start to notice that maybe you are not stuck. Maybe you are just in a transition, a space between where you were and where you are going. And that space is not empty. It's preparation. It's alignment. It's growth that is happening internally before it shows externally. And right now, you are in that exact process. Even if you don't fully see it yet, even if it feels slow, it is real, because real change doesn't happen overnight. It builds quietly, step by step, thought by thought. And one of those steps is happening right now. This moment, this pause, this awareness. Because when you become aware, you stop reacting automatically. You stop following every thought. You stop letting pressure control your state. And instead, you begin to choose. Choose what you focus on. Choose how you respond. Choose how you move forward. And that is where your power returns. Not from forcing results, but from controlling your state. And as that shift continues, something else begins to happen. You start to feel lighter. Not because everything is solved, but because you're no longer carrying everything the same way. And that is the beginning of change. And as you stay here, allowing this moment to unfold, something inside you is already beginning to shift in a way you might not fully notice yet. Not because your situation has suddenly changed, but because your state is changing. And that matters more than you think. Because most of the time, what keeps you feeling stuck is not what is happening around you. It's what is happening inside you. The constant thinking, the pressure to figure everything out, the need to see results immediately, all of that creates tension. And that tension blocks clarity. It blocks movement. It blocks the natural flow of progress. But right now, you are stepping out of that pattern. You're no longer chasing every thought. You're no longer reacting to every feeling. You're observing, breathing, allowing things to settle. And that creates space. Space in your mind. Space in your emotions. Space for something new to enter. And in that space, you begin to see differently. You begin to realize that maybe things are not as blocked as they felt. Maybe the delay was not a problem, but a process. Maybe what felt like nothing happening was actually preparation happening beneath the surface. Because growth is not always visible. It doesn't always show itself immediately. Sometimes it happens quietly, internally, before it reflects externally. And right now, that is exactly where you are. In that quiet phase. The phase where everything is aligning, even if you don't see it yet. And this is where most people lose patience. This is where they give up. This is where they assume nothing is working, and they stop. But you didn't stop. You paused, but you didn't quit. You stayed present instead of running away. And because of that, you are beginning to understand something deeper. That progress is not always about speed. It's about direction. It's about alignment. It's about staying consistent even when you don't see immediate results. And right now, you are doing exactly that. Even if it feels small, even if it feels slow, it is real, because real progress starts from within, from how you think, how you feel, how you respond. And as those things shift, everything else begins to follow. And right now, that shift is happening. And as this awareness becomes stronger, something else begins to happen. You start to feel a different kind of calm. Not the kind that comes from having everything figured out, but the kind that comes from understanding that you don't need to have everything figured out right now. And that removes so much pressure. Because most of the stress you've been feeling comes from trying to control outcomes that haven't happened yet. Trying to predict what's next. Trying to be ready for every possible situation. And that keeps your mind in constant motion, constant tension, constant alert. But right now, you are stepping out of that. You are allowing yourself to exist in this moment without carrying everything else with you. And that changes your entire experience. Because when you are present, fear loses its grip. When you're focused on now, uncertainty about the future becomes less overwhelming. And you begin to realize something important. You don't need to solve your entire life tonight. You don't need to have every answer before you move forward. You just need clarity for the next step. And that is manageable. That is possible. And as you stay in this state, that clarity begins to come. Slowly, quietly, but clearly enough for you to feel it. Not everything at once, but enough to guide you. Enough to move you forward. And that is all you need right now. Now listen carefully, because this is where your real strength begins to show. There will still be moments where your mind tries to go back. Back to doubt. Back to overthinking. Back to questioning everything again. That is normal. That is what it has been trained to do. But now you are aware of it. And awareness gives you control. Because the moment you notice that shift, you have a choice. You can follow those thoughts, or you can pause again. Breathe again. Return to this calm. And every time you choose awareness, you break that old pattern a little more. Every time you return to clarity, you strengthen the new pattern. The one that is built on calm, on control, on intentional thinking. And over time, that becomes your default. Not reacting immediately, but observing first. Not assuming the worst, but staying grounded. Not letting thoughts control you, but choosing how you respond to them. And that is where your power truly comes from. Not from controlling everything outside, but from controlling what happens inside. And as that control becomes stronger, everything in your life begins to shift accordingly. And as you continue in this direction, something deeper begins to settle inside you. A quiet confidence. Not loud, not forced, but real. The kind that doesn't need validation. The kind that doesn't panic when things are unclear. The kind that stays steady, even when the future is uncertain. Because now, you understand something most people don't. You understand that clarity comes from calm, not from pressure. You understand that progress comes from consistency, not from rushing. You understand that your state is what shapes your results. And because of that, you move differently. You think differently. You act differently. Not in a dramatic way, but in a steady, controlled way. And that creates real change. Because when your internal state is stable, your external actions become stronger. And when your actions are stronger, your results follow naturally. And that is how alignment happens. Not by forcing everything, but by becoming the version of yourself that is ready for what is coming next. And now, before you leave this moment, take this with you. Not as just words, but as something real inside you. You're not stuck. You are in transition. You're not lost. You are in alignment. You're not behind. You are preparing. Say this slowly in your mind. I trust the process. I move forward with clarity. I am ready for what is coming. Again, I trust the process. I move forward with clarity. I am ready for what is coming. Let those words settle deeply, because what you repeat becomes what you believe. And what you believe shapes how you move. And how you move shapes your life. And right now, you are choosing something different. Not fear, not pressure, not doubt, but clarity, calm, direction. And that changes everything. Because from this moment forward, you are not reacting the same way. You are not thinking the same way. You are not moving the same way. And because of that, your life will begin to reflect that change, step by step, moment by moment. And it all started with this pause, this awareness, this moment right now.